quarter mile times are in, 40 to 100 roll races are in. I was damn impressed with these numbers. They are on a stock turbo, pump gas, 93 octane, phase 2 Eurocompulsion 2, and I got my turbo in a box behind me going phase 3 pretty soon. A few things we got to touch base on real quick, okay? Most of you may know this, some may not. When it comes to quarter mile times, it's a great way to see your car's performance, how it's doing and everything. Ton of variables, obviously. But two things, you kind of break it down. There's your ET, which is your elapsed time. So how long it took you from starting to crossing the quarter mile. That's like your hard number. Let it be if it's 14 point some or whatever. Then there's your trap speed. Did you cross it at 90, 95, 100 miles an hour, etc. Your ET is more relevant to how good your launch was, where your trap speed is more relevant to how much power your car produces. You could have a car with a lot of power that doesn't have a good launch and it's going to trap higher. This is actually the perfect example. Huge shout out to Dan at Track Day for allowing me to come down there and do this test with him. My car trapped higher than Dan's, but I had a lower ET because his launch was better. And on top of that, your 60-foot time is gonna be a great indicator of how good your launch was. Now, on our cars, a good 60-foot time, I would say if you're not on slicks or whatever, is probably in like the 2.1. I've seen some folks do that. I think Brett was the one who got a 2.1, which is actually pretty damn low. Now, my car did not launch well. It got a really crappy 2.39. That's really high. But I'm actually gonna put an asterisk next to when I say it didn't launch well, because I don't think it didn't launch well. I think there was an issue, like I kind of had some hesitation in first gear that happened every time I launched it, and your 60-foot time will tell you how good your launch was. This hesitation happened before the 60-foot mark, therefore acting like I got a bad launch, making my ET slower. It's the same thing. The bad launch or having something happen right before the 60-foot mark is acting like you had a bad launch. So, for example, when I was on my stock tires, which are skinnier, they're less stickier, and I was on my lower power tune, the phase 1, my 60-foot time was so much better at 2.27 compared to 2.39. No, I wasn't spinning this time. That's not the reason. The launch actually looked very similar when I looked back at my other launches with phase 1. It looked good, you know, no spinning, no nothing. I gotta pause this. I keep getting sounds coming out of here. There we go. So it didn't spin or nothing. That's why it was that hesitation that kind of caused it, all right? So with all that in mind, let's see what my car and his car did in the quarter mile, both uncorrected and corrected. I had my draggy, he had his V-Box, both were calculating in my car. Now, I understand this was not at a drag strip, and people are gonna talk as much as they want that it might not be legit numbers or this or that, so if you wanna whine about that. But both draggy and V-Box has been tested by many other people to be extremely close to drag strip numbers, and Dan himself has extensively tested both of these, he said, with the V-Box being a hair more accurate. But the numbers were so damn close between the two. I'm talking the ET was 0.03 within, and the miles per hour within, I think, like half a mile per hour. Very close, which both of those are very close to the drag strip. But I get it, guys, it's not the drag strip. I'm not saying I have the quickest this or that or whatever. I get that. I'm bringing you guys what I can do, because I couldn't make it to the drag strip, and the one time I did, it got canceled because of rain. So let's dive in and see the uncorrected numbers on my car, both V-Box and draggy, and his car only with V-Box because we only had the V-Box in his car. And then we're going to correct them. DA corrected. It was 1800 DA according to him, because he had the airport folks and everything, so he told me it was 1800. And my draggy actually said 1850. So again, two more factors with the DA being at 1800. Let's see what our cars did. So the first thing I'll give you guys is the draggy results for my car on that first run. I had the draggy in car with video mode showing all the stats on screen. So let's do that first. So as you saw, it was a 14.53 at 97.75 miles per hour. Now let's go to the V-Box, because although they're both very, very similar, Dan did say that the V-Box is a hair quicker. I gotta move this phone because you're probably hearing between this computer and the phone vibrations and noise in the background and this nice squeaky chair. So, V-Box numbers for that run was 14.56 at 98.49 miles per hour. That is uncorrected. That is straight out of the V-Box. Again, very similar to Draggy, but again, a little more accurate according to Dan and his testing, from testing both at the drag strip. That same run, Dan got 14.38 at 95.23 miles per hour. Now, don't put as much emphasis on the like whose car's ahead or behind, because we might have not launched the same time. Just like when you're at the drag strip, it don't matter who goes first, who goes second. It doesn't start until you move, so it doesn't matter. I could go 5 seconds before him. Our times will still be the same, you know, as far as what our times would have been if he launched at the same time or not. So that doesn't matter. But it is good to see how he shot ahead in first gear because of the launch. But then I slowly started to pull on him. Hence why he crossed the quarter mile quicker, the ET, but I had more mile per hour than him. Because I was picking up speed a lot quicker than him, meaning if my launch was good or the car wasn't hesitating in first gear, yeah, I'm not gonna say what the numbers are because I'm not psychic. Would have been better, put it that way. Now the second run, I missed third, not by a lot. I got it in quick, and you'll be surprised, you'll see I actually was closer to him, and that's why I said don't put so much emphasis on who launched first or second, because it's while we're rolling, then you can kind of see how we're doing, and that might just see what car has more power. But I have the habit of doing this, it's happened in my other videos. Third gear is a gear that I like to shift really quick into. It's just slamming it. I know some people like going down more. For some reason, I like going up into third more. I just really put it in there hard. That's what she said. And when I'm doing that, because I do it really quick and really hard, sometimes I won't get it in there. Again, that's what she said. So, third gear, I missed third, got it in again real quick, kind of adjusted and got it in. And you're gonna see this one, I was still able to stay in the 14s according to Draggy, and I think with the V-Box, I think it was a 1500. But let's watch those real quick. We'll watch that run and then I'll put the numbers on screen. I'm gonna have a video from like the side view, and you're gonna see that I slowly start pulling back on him, both in the POV style view and on the side. That video, you're gonna see his car kind of coming to view a little bit more, and don't mind that angle, it is really bad. The what do you call it, GoPro started slowly tilting towards the sky as we kept doing this. We did the 40 to 100 pulse first, so that's gonna look a little bit better. As we got to the quarter mile, the GoPro just started going towards the sky. So again, let's see that. So with that one, I got a 14.97 at 95.86 miles an hour, according to the Draggy. And the V-Box was a 15.00, again, only 0.03 away, at 96.69. Again, pretty close. Dan, for that run, got a 14.66 at 93.98. So even with missing third, my trap was still higher than his at the uncorrected levels, showing that if I did things right, or if the car wanted to run proper completely, both with me driving perspective and the car acting in first gear, these numbers would have been a lot nicer, you know. Now let's look at the corrected numbers. This is where things get really impressive. We were at 1800 DA. Let's look at the draggy numbers first. The draggy numbers puts me at 14.23 at 99.83 miles per hour. And the V-Box puts me at 14.26 at 100.59 miles per hour. I'm not going to put a lot of emphasis on this because I know I wasn't at a drag strip. It was corrected. But this, I believe, is the first 124 Spider on a stock turbo, on pump gas, to trap over 100 miles per hour. Or even the 98.4 says a lot, even the uncorrected number. Dan, for that run, corrected 14.09 at 97.26 miles per hour, almost getting into the 13s. Now the corrected runs when I missed third gear: draggy 14.66 at 97.9, V-Box 14.69 at 98.75, and Dan 14.36 at 95.98. So that was the breakdown from the quarter mile runs. You see all the data from two different data loggers. Again, this chair is squeaking all over the place. Two different data loggers tracking the speed, the ET, all that good stuff. Different camera angles, seeing how the cars are pulling on each other and launching and everything. Maybe I'll put a little snippet of that hesitation in first gear. I've shown some people, and some folks literally cannot see it. They're like, I just don't see it. I know my car, driving it every single day. I can see it. So I'm curious if some of you guys can see it. I'm going to play it in full speed, and then maybe I'll slow it down a hair. At 5,500 RPM, give or take, there is a slight, ever so slight hesitation. But if this happens before the 60-foot mark, which I believe it does, even if it's 0.2 of a second of a hesitation, that's 0.2 of a second bringing me from 2.39. It could have been a 2.19, which would have made my ET down into like the 13s. See, it all adds up. But again, this is all theory and talking, and that's it. Not concrete saying that would have happened, all right? We'll show that real quick though. Now the 40 to 100 roll races. We actually started around 35 miles an hour, brought it up above 100, but let's take a look at this. First run, I went through fine, didn't miss shift at all, and it's pretty impressive because Dan's got the automatic, which I believe shifts quicker than a manual, no matter how fast you shift. I know it's not like some crazy aggressive dual clutch or whatever, but I'm pretty sure they shift pretty aggressive. And mine being a manual does have the benefit of having better gearing for acceleration. And up top, you're gonna see that come into play. I think it's a mix of me having maybe a little bit more performance parts, making a little bit more power, the gearing, and having the front mount intercooler. He's got the Eurocompulsion standard upgraded intercooler, where I have the race intercooler, which has some extra ducting. The way the car pulls at higher speed, which is when the air's really being sucked in and it's got that venting to really bring the air in, it looks like it's doing its job really well. My intake air temps have been good. One of the runs I actually left it on intake air temps, and it was about 80 degrees, and we were doing pulls and it went to like 108, and then it hit 112, and then started going back down to like 109 or whatever. Like, it's doing its job pretty damn good. So you take that all into consideration, and this is what happens when you have a manual and a automatic with the same tune, slightly different mods. Let's see it. So there was a 40 to 100 pull. You can see, you know, the car, how it really just kind of picks up and keeps going. Between shifts a little bit, he might have an edge, and then it just keeps going. So now we're gonna do another race pull, another pull like that. But he wanted to start at 20 miles an hour. I wasn't thinking that with the gearing, my car being a manual at 20 is near Redline already. Where his automatic, he's got some room to play with before second gear pulls up on him. and we actually started at 25 miles an hour to make it even worse. And you'll see in the video too, I'm focusing on looking at his car, looking at the cones, looking at his car, looking at the cones, so I know when to give it gas. I don't know what speed I'm at, I don't know what throttle, or I don't know the RPM or anything. I'm just focusing on that, and I'm like, okay, then once I start, then I'll look down and take into consideration. I couldn't do any of that, because by the time I gave it gas, second gear snuck up so hard, I only shifted because I was bouncing off the rev limiter, and then it went right into second. You're gonna see that. And traction control is left on for those pulls. Obviously, the quarter miles, it was turned off, but we did the pulls first, and everything was really, really quick pace at this airstrip, so I didn't think and remember to turn it off. So you'll see that traction going off in first gear. But this is also gonna show you how he jumps ahead of me, and again, slowly start reeling him in by the time we go upwards to second and third and fourth gear. So let's watch this. You're gonna see it again. I'm just paying attention to the cones in the car. First gear, second gear just sneaks up on me, and then I just shift, and yeah, we'll just see what happens. So like I was saying before, when you're talking about power, you look at the trap speed, not the ET. And this is a perfect example of that. We're doing a roll race. There's no launching, there's no other variable into consideration, it's just shifting, which is me, and his car's automatic. And you see the car pull, that shows the power. So with all that being said, what could my quarter mile have been if the car didn't hesitate, in other words, had a good launch? Now that we know he was able to do 14 point what? It was 14.0 corrected, and uncorrected, he still got a 14.38 was uncorrected for him. So if I was able to get a good launch, which you know from my previous launch videos where I got a 2.27 with, again, skinnier, not as sticky stock tires, less power, what could it have done? In the end, could my car break 13s and trap 100 miles per hour on a prepped surface on the track where it does get better traction and everything legitimately? I'm not gonna say it because I only go with hard data in numbers. I would like to believe it could. But my theory is it would. Are we gonna get those numbers? I really don't know, because I might be going 1446 plus turbo before I make it out to the track or do any other data testing like this. I've been doing a lot of abuse on this car. It's fun, but it's a lot of abuse on it. So I might just go to the turbo and just leave phase 2 stock turbo behind me. But I want to hear from you guys. You think it has a 13-second pass in her? 100 mile per hour trap speed? Uncorrected? Corrected? I'm not saying set in stone, but drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think of the power, how it did, if you agree with what I'm saying, or what your input is as well. If you guys have input on the times and how it affects it in the 60 foot, all that stuff, whatever it is, I don't care. When it comes down to these numbers anyway, most of the time it's bragging. I could sit here and say, yo, I trapped 100 miles per hour. And you'll come back and say, well, that's corrected, it's not on a drag strip. Yeah, both of us are saying something right. My data logger said I did 100 miles an hour. And of course, I was not at a drag strip. I was data corrected. I get it. You know, that's why having two cars side by side doing a race is the best thing to see what car is quicker. I can run a 14.5 today, and if I went back on a track in October, what's prepped, and cooler temperatures, I could have probably got it into 13s, maybe, not even corrected. That same car could be half a second faster or slower depending on the time, location, temperature, all these other variables. Launching, shifting, all that stuff. So it's really hard to set it in stone, but still want to bring you guys this type of data and information. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think that covers everything I want to go over. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Again, huge shout out to Dan at Track Day for allowing me to come down there and do this test with him. He also took my girlfriend's Mazda 3 Turbo on the road course and track, did a bunch of testing, put it together into this beautiful cinematic video that he's known to do. It looks amazing. I'll link it below. Be sure to check that out. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead, give it a like, drop a comment. Always want to hear from you guys. And if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, consider subscribing. Check out drivendistrict.com if you want to pick up some merch and some performance car parts, not just for the 124 Spider Abarth, but plenty of other. I'll catch you guys soon. Thanks for watching.